Greetings. I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Why is this my year of depth? That is a question that we are going to be exploring through a new series called Deeper Gratitude. I believe that our most important work happens when we go deep on what matters most to us. Instead of trying to go wide and only go shallow, instead picking a few things to go deep on. There is where we can find our greatest contribution, our greatest impact, but also our most fulfilling work. So throughout the rest of 2021, throughout the rest of my year of depth, this series is going to bring to you different guests, different people I admire, I love, and that I want you to connect with and learn, first of all, where are they going deep in their life? Then they're going to share with you where they'd like to see you go deep. And lastly, what fuels that deep work they're doing through their gratitude. Now, like I said, we're going to use this intro for each one. So if you're hearing this and thinking, I heard this episode last week, don't worry. Same intro, different guests. Now, all of these episodes were recorded through June through July 2021. The year is always unpredictable. And so I say the date of when this was recorded so you have context, just in case if I release this in October or something like that. It lets you know we didn't know what was going to happen in October. Although I'm releasing this in October or November, all of these were released in the context of June and July 2021. Okay, that's enough for me. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Today is June 23rd, and we are joined by our next guest, the brilliant, the magnificent, the powerful, the amazing Jayson James, y'all. How you doing, Jayson?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Oh, it's been too long since we've had a chance to sit across from each other and just be in the same space. So I'm cheesing. So, Jayson, for the folks who haven't got a chance to share space with you, to be together at any town as we have, who might not know you yet, how would you describe yourself in 6 words?
In 6 words, I would say compassionate, warm, bright, survivor, loving, and balanced.
Amen. Amen. Where did those words come from for you?
I live my life with compassion, intentionally, and it's just a core piece of who I am. And from that comes the warmth and the brightness of, I don't know how to describe it, but like, it's core to who I am, always leaving with love. Like the love ethic is really something that I follow. Bell Hooks' love ethic is really part of my core ethics, part of my core ethos. Survivor, because I have gone through a lot. I have been through a lot in my life, and the fact that I'm still here, and I'm still fighting, I'm a survivor. Loving kind of goes back with the compassionate and warmth, but even on another level. And the balance is because it's okay to, not be warm all the time. Sometimes you have to be cool. And so the balance is making sure that I am not overly going over the top in one area and neglecting another area, I guess you could say. So trying to make sure I stay good.
So I've had a chance to do a couple of these interviews already, and I love that. That was very unique. I love how you took us through each one, but almost like each value was a building block for the next. I'm compassionate, which makes me warm, which makes me bright. I'm a survivor, which makes me loving, which makes me. I loved how you did that. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know how you would know this, but at my wedding, we actually read from Bell Hooks's All About Love.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's amazing. The pictures from the wedding were beautiful, but that's makes it even better.
So for you then, what is a love ethic? What is All About Love? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
A love ethic for me is really truly living my life and leading it through love. I'm an organizing my community, and like part of that is one, meeting people where they are and showing like that one can be loving and strong at the same time. Basically, it's one aspect of the love for me. But also, if you're in a relationship with someone, either platonic or not, like love ethic means, being truthful with each other and compassionate with each other, and understanding each other. And like if conflict arises, to find a way to work through it and not immediately go down each other's throat.
I love that. I love that. Where are you going deeper in your life?
I deeper honestly is that's a question. Part of it is, I don't know how to say it, but like me keeping centered the compassion and love, because it can be easy sometimes to throw that away. And like as I move forward in my life, I'll go deeper. I don't know, like to not lose myself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And yeah. And I'm going. That's a good question. I'm sorry.
You're doing great. I appreciate the way you're sitting with this and being truthful with us. So this is really appreciated.
Sometimes that's honestly something I've been struggling with myself in actuality. Like I'm going back to college, after years of not being able to go to college. So like, I guess is finding a way to fulfill myself without the need of other people to fulfill me. I guess that's something I could say. That's where I'm going deeper right now. Trying to make myself happy. Yeah.
I love that. That's something that in my life too, the external validation, finding the happiness from within. I'm curious for me, what it's bringing up for me is it's like how I've been finding doing that is connecting to my worthiness. Do you relate to that?
Yes. Imposter syndrome is real. Like not believing that one, I'm doing anything whether to change, or to help promote change or help empower my community, but also that that sometimes I go to depression. Depression is a real thing, and and hearing those negative thoughts about like how I'm worthless or how like no one loves me, or like I literally feel like at times during my depression that I could literally just stop posting on social media, stop messaging people, stop doing anything, and no one would be concerned. And I know that's not true, but it can be very hard to come over that hump, I guess you would say. And, and yeah, yes. And finding myself worthy can be hard at times. That's where the balance comes back in, because don't want to go too, try to remember that.
I appreciate the honesty and vulnerability you're sharing with us. And I know a lot of people listening are resonating with this. So thank you, Jayson. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
One other thing you said that I resonated with, made me curious, was you were talking about as you go deeper, making sure you don't lose yourself, you don't lose who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, going back to, going deeper and not losing the compassion, the warmth, the bright, who you are as a survivor, the lovingness, the balance. How do you find that? Okay, I'm going to go deeper, but I don't want to lose myself. What does that look like?
Sometimes it looks like a mess. I'm just gonna be real. And like, one thing I truly value about like what's going on in my life right now is that I have a therapist who I'm vibing with well enough to actually go through some of this. And like, one of the things that she has me doing is journaling. I am not going to claim I'm actually doing it well, but sometimes I get out and do it, or I'll write a comment or write something on Facebook and then make it private. As my form of journaling, I guess you would say, and like realize and come through, like make this long old post or writing journal entry and realize the core of something. And those are hard moments. Those are really hard moments. And sometimes, it can make you feel better. Like, okay, finally I got to record this, but other times not so much. But having to like remind myself of who I am helps in ways. But there are times, where it can be hard. It can be messy.
That's a theme we've been hearing throughout our conversations, is to go deep. A lot of people talking about therapy, myself included, how helpful that is to uncover our true selves.
Yes. Therapy. Like, I've been battling with major depression and social anxiety disorder and PTSD since I was a child, because of traumas that happened in my childhood. And, I would say that this may be one of the first times that I feel like I am working through some of the issues that I've been having with the therapist. Like, I've had other people in my life who's helped me, but specifically with the therapist. And it's been very helpful. And also, getting into it with my faith has been helpful in many ways. Connecting with my ancestors. And yeah, but it's like a combination of all of that, I guess you would say.
Well, I'm grateful you're sharing with us your journey. I know for folks listening, a lot of us are resonating. So thank you, Jayson. What do you want people to go deeper on?
I would say one thing for me I went deeper on is one of my areas of one of the difficulties of my, like, for a long time I am conflict. I'm typically a conflict diverse person, and that often leads me to saying a yes or saying nothing in situations where those would be appropriate to say, or just going along with something and just keeping my mouth shut or whatever. And I had to go deeper on finding the root of that, like what is that from? And that's one of the things I had a major breakthrough in. I'm not going to say that like I still have issues of conflict, but I've been working through it in a way that, because conflict can be generative at times. So, and like we have to have what's the word? A healthy way of going through conflict, and avoiding conflict isn't healthy. Um, yeah, it's not, isn't healthy.
Would you say that your definition of what conflict is or what conflict means has changed?
Like, yes, it has changed. It has broadened actually. Because growing up, I was thinking, oh, conflict is like literally arguments or whatever, and or like arguments or fights or something like that. But especially as I started learning and going deeper on like why I am so conflict averse, like realizing no, it's actually much broader. Like in terms of like why it's, and yes, the definition has definitely changed, and like that's why I say conflict can be generative, because conflict can mean just people having a disagreement. A simple disagreement doesn't mean people are angry at each other. It could be something that's basically meaningless, but like, or it could be something major. And one thing going deep is like you learn your own boundaries as well. And like I realized that some of the areas of like the aversion was like people crossing my boundaries that I didn't realize were my boundaries. And like and becoming yeah, and learning your boundaries is real. Like if you don't know your boundaries, you're gonna constantly be harmed by someone. Well, no, if you don't know your boundaries and express that these are your boundaries, you're gonna constantly be harmed by someone or people, and they may not even realize they're doing it. Because if you don't say it, sometimes it depends. There are some boundaries that are obvious, but like if you don't say it, they may not realize that they're harming you or make you feel some type of way, and that's something I definitely have to learn. Had to learn. I've definitely had to learn, and yeah, yeah, and and it actually goes back to the love ethic as well. Um, One, the boundary piece, but also the conflict piece, because if you're in a relation with someone and you have a conflict, I think the first thing one should do is to try to find a way to discuss the conflict um, in a way that's not harmful towards each other.
Agreed. Jayson's dropping gems for y'all. This is awesome. What are you grateful for right now?
Oh, I'm grateful for life, for real. I'm really grateful for life right now. I'm grateful for my ancestors because they've gone through a lot and they keep there with me. And I'm grateful for my faith. Um, I have a faith that actually accepts all of me, which is something that I didn't grow up with, and I'm grateful for it. And it helps me feel like a whole human. I am grateful for my close friends, um, and even if we don't talk every day, it's like once we do, it's like a spark and the warmth. Yeah, I'm grateful for a lot. I'm grateful for a lot.
And Jayson, we are grateful for you. Thank you for this opportunity to connect with you. For folks who want to reach out to you and share their appreciation with you, where can they do that?
You can find me on Instagram at Nubian Queen J. That's NubianKWEENJay.
And And we'll have that in the show notes for those of you who are on the go. Jayson, what is your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to think about, to evolve into? What is your invitation?
My invitation is for them to honestly go deeper into an area that they don't feel comfortable in. It doesn't necessarily need to be something about personal to them. It could be of some area, like I'm not even going to tell what it is, but something you feel discomfort in. Go deeper into it and find out why, and see what the root of that is. And yeah, because yeah.
I love that. I love that. You summarized the whole meaning of what I'm hoping people get out of this series for me in one invitation. So just listen to these last 60 seconds. Y'all hear the rest of what I've been working on. Nailed it. Jayson, how would you describe our conversation we just had in one word?
One word. Powerful.
I appreciate that, Jayson. This is awesome. We unfortunately have limited time on these quick interviews, so we're going to have to get you back for a full one so we can just really get a chance to be together and hear the wonderful stuff that you're and the powerful stuff you're sharing with us. So thank you, Jayson. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Greetings. We have ourselves another guest, and we are interviewing this on June 30th. My guest is Dr. Lydiana Garcia. How's it going, Lydiana?
Oh, it's going great. There's always an adventure with little ones. So yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And folks, you might recognize Lydiana was a past guest. Awesome conversation on mental health, intergenerational trauma. We talked about everything. It was deep. We went there. So we'll link that in the show notes if you want to catch that full length one. For the folks who haven't listened to that or who don't know you, how would you describe yourself in 6 words?
6 words. Here they come. Mom of 6 kids. 6 kids. Look at me. No, mom of 2. Healer, dancer, spirit, teacher, and student of life.
I love that. How did you come up with those words?
Well, I was trying to get something like I am might, and then the word I am a mighty warrior, and that's from a movie and my son likes to watch, and I'm like, no, that sounds like cheesy. And I kept trying, and I'm like, don't complicate your life. Just put 6 words that literally describe you. And those are 6 things that I identify with.
What do you think as a whole they say about who you are?
Multifaceted and a complex. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that folks have been sharing complex, multifaceted as part of their elaboration. Do you think that there is I don't know if the word problem, let's use the word problem, of us not seeing each other in our full complexity?
I think so. I think especially this year, we've done a lot of that, either or, binary, and who's in, who's out, who's good, who's bad. And we forget that we're complex. And by comprehending our complexities, our shadow side, all our sides, then we really comprehend our humanity. We're not to be in a box.
Do you see people doing that to themselves as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like what happens out there is also happening within. So a lot of people are questioning and kind of like, oh, I'm a good person, or I'm a bad person, or I'm a pro this, I'm against this. And then that becomes their identity, but they forget and they kind of push away anything that goes against it.
So I'm hearing binary is almost the opposite of seeing our full complexity.
Yeah.
Why is there such a pull to go to the binary, to the black and white, to the right or wrong?
I'm not a neuroscientist, but I know a little bit about the brain. And I think it's also our brain trying to understand and classify things. We work Our brain works that way. We classify things. And from little, one of our main needs is when we were born is safety. So who's going to keep us safe? Are we going to die? And that is a very primitive way of living. But then as we continue to expand and become adults and all that, life is much more about survival, even though I know I am privileged to say that because I'm not there. But I've been in those instances that in survival that all I need to know is what's safe and what isn't.
So then once I'm out of that survival mode, but I'm still doing it, then what is the maybe like emotional need that it's filling or emotional safety it's creating for me, even if it's not fully serving me?
Habitual, any habits, because that habit becomes a safe habit. It's something that we know. Uncertainty is something that our bodies don't like to experience. So even if it's a habit that is not serving you, at least you know it. That's what happens, when they're in abusive relationships, at least they know how to survive with an abusive person as opposed to starting all new with someone that they have no idea how to even be.
So it gives me a sense of certainty, even if it's not serving me.
Exactly. And we strive, like that's another primitive thing of human beings. We strive for certainty to really know and try to plan ahead.
So how do we start to step out of the binary, the certainty of what's not serving me, and into my greater self, if you will, or into the complexity?
I love this question. I think part of it is tiptoeing. If you want to jump in the water, be my guest, but I don't know if that's going to be sustainable if everybody can do it. So it's okay to tiptoe, to be like, let me challenge myself. And not every day, but consistently try new things, even as something as small that maybe take a different route somewhere, maybe order something different in a menu, kind of like changing little things until you feel that you can start doing the bigger ones.
You named one of mine. It's such a risk when I'm going to ordering something I might not like.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Especially if you already know and you're like, and I want, take this, put this sauce, not this sauce. I know. And you're paying a lot. Let's talk LA, right? Yeah. But I think, those instances, that's why traveling, I feel like it helps with this because it's like an exposure of uncertainty in many ways. And then you have to figure it out. And then when you experience that you were able to figure it out, that gives you like a little bit of a new way of seeing, a new experience that's going to help. And the next time you're like, oh, I can resort to, I was able to figure X, Y, and Z out, so I can figure this out.
Well, I like how right away we've gone deep. So let's just keep going deeper. Where in your life are you going deep right now?
I am going deep, literally, in who I am, where I come from, my truth, my essence.
Can you elaborate for us?
Yes. So what I mean with that is really exploring who is Lydiana from a soul level, from a human level, from what do I like, what did I came here to do, what things I continue to do that were put on me by society, my family, my culture, the oppression here, anything, like really like putting that's not mine and what's mine, what's not mine. So then I can go back to really doing me, because the more I anchor myself, then I can expand and feel stronger. Because right now there was a lot of things, especially motherhood, kind of challenge a lot of this that you're like, whoa, and I'm just doing what everybody's doing or what is supposed to be good parenting or this, but then I don't feel grounded. So I'm really looking, especially with all the uncertainties, to ground myself and going back to that knowledge. In terms of ancestors, ideally, I have this dream. Ideally, I would like to go and travel to the 3 main areas that my ancestor came from and just be there and experience. So go like West Africa, go to the north of Spain and Portugal, go to kind of like back to Puerto Rico, but also to the Amazon to see if I can meet with any Arawak indigenous folks, because that's where the Taínos, the indigenous of Puerto Rico came, like to really feel and sense, because I have this yearning of going back to my roots. and then to kind of know even what to eat. There's so, that's something so simple. Like I'm going through some health issues and, there's this diet, there's that diet, but what is a diet that serves me and where I come from and my body and my stage of life?
What do you think are the values, emotions, tools, thoughts, mantras that you need to take with you to go on a journey like what you're describing?
Tools, something tangible. I'm very much about using our senses and the simple 5 ones to kind of remind us, because sometimes we go in this loops. So scents that help us help me feel grounded, images of my purpose. Because if I do that down the road, I definitely have to have an intention, which is probably like to sense and remember. That might be one of my intentions. So maybe that could be a mantra. I am remembering, stuff like that I can have written. I can also have music that can help me ground myself. I can have clothing items. Like I have a scarf that my grandma gifted to me, and 2 weeks later she died. And that scarf, I like to use it whenever I feel like I need protection. So stuff like that can help me feel a little more grounded, because a trip like that can be very much emotional. There's so much uncertainty. So those things are superficial, but at the same time, they can remind my body that I'm okay.
I know last time, so we can jump in right to the deep stuff on this. We live in a white supremacist society. And so a conversation we've been having around knowledge of self with past guests is how do you in a society that is having this white supremacist message of who you are fight through that or clear that and say, no, this is actually who I am on this road to discovery of who I am?
And that's why that image of that kind of bamboo and going back to your roots, it's a lot of knowledge that has been lost, that I am back to like one of my passions, which is like anthropology, learning about cultures and all that, like really trying to learn where I am and going back to that. And knowing that the society would like to keep the status quo because it's what they know. So anybody that is kind of getting out of that is going to highlight their sense of danger, danger. The more that people get out, then we're going to change. So they're trying to hold it together. So kind of recognizing that's going to happen instead of being until that change, then I will, that will not change. That would not exist. So it's like, I can do this and I'm going to still receive that. So then I need to prepare like a journey, like a warrior. What equipment do you need to prepare to go out?
I love that answer. Thank you for exploring that with us.
Yes, of course.
Where would you like to see people going deeper in their lives?
I would like people to go back to their own roots. I feel like a lot of us are living like a mask life. We're living what we think, what society put to us, the status quo, and we're really not being authentic in ourselves. I feel like the more that people figure out who they are and take away and tease out all the things that they're not, and they are that, then that can help our microcosm, because it's a collaboration of all of us being ourselves. And that's how we can really help. And I also think that that can also help to stop a lot of things that are happening, like transgressions and stuff like that, because when you're yourself, then you don't necessarily have to be projecting all these things that you're not to someone else.
You went exactly where I was going to ask my next follow-up question. And so I'll just wonder if you can elaborate. What are some signs? Because I think a lot of people think, I know who I am. I know what I like. I like this Netflix show and I like this food and I like doing this and I like these clothes and I like this. But like maybe they don't. So what are some signs of somebody who doesn't really fully know who they are?
I would go back to the body. I know it's in essence, I believe we are a soul. We're like incarnating in this body, but our bodies, it's a big part of this human experience. So I remember when I was like that, or when I'm still like that in times, I don't feel grounded. I don't feel my feet in the ground. Right now, I'm speaking from a very grounded perspective, My sound is even kind of calm. My tone, my body feels relaxed. I'm not tense. I'm not like jittery, all that. And that used to be me when I would be in spaces because I was trying to be someone else. Even when you're enjoying the Netflix and all that and the shows that you like, are you doing that because you really enjoy it? Are you present, or are you doing that to disconnect from what you don't want and what you don't, because I've done that. I mean, as a mom, at times I'm just in my phone and I'm just scrolling because I'm like, this is so intense right now that I need a disconnection mode. And that's okay. That's part of it. It's not that you're always grounded, but I know that I'm not doing that because I love it. I'm doing that. I know the intention behind it. So I think I go back to the body and sensing, how does your body feel when you're eating that food? How do you feel when you're watching that? Are you present? Are you not? And I feel like the more present you are, then the easier it will be for you to really know, oh, this is something that I really like.
So I'm hearing a couple of things: presence, getting out of the autopilot, really examining my tastes. Where did they come from? So kind of like you were saying, I think this one thing you say of the roots is connecting who I am, what I like, what I'm doing back to where did that come from?
Yeah. And there might be things, because if a listener might be thinking, but I know where I come from and I don't like that type of food. That's still in the superficial. I'm going deeper because that's like maybe a second, third generation, but there's even more. And it could be, in your family and the land that your ancestor come from. What was the food that was there? The music. So it's because I know sometimes we stay in that, but yeah, I like tacos. So, and I mean, I do like tacos and I'm not Mexican. So then they will be like, then I'm not going to eat them because I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can still enjoy that. And that could be your favorite food, but really honoring that's from somebody, it's authentic to a different culture. What is my culture and how do I know this? By really exploring and going back to your roots, going back to where you come from, going back to your soul essence. It's even farther and more than just where you come from and your land, your soul essence.
Even before COVID, people were starting to talk about that we're in a loneliness pandemic, and COVID just exacerbated that. How does all of this connect to this loneliness that many, many people are experiencing?
I think it connects in a much bigger way. And then when I hear this question, I also think about how the system benefits from that, how the system benefits from having people isolated, because then you put them in a fear state, because as a human species, we're not to be alone. So by being in an isolated in a fear state, then a system can control you and can do with you whatever they want. So that's one thing that I thought. The other thing, it's more about the false way that people are connecting and trying to keep, again, the mask, because they don't know who they are and they're just being this mask, social media and showing their perfect lives and all that, but they're not being necessarily themselves. So then when they go to sleep or when they turn off the phone, they don't feel good with themselves. A lot of people feel like a hole or like empty. And those are sensations that are also signs that you're not doing and you're not being who you really are.
It's all kind of connecting the dots, right? That getting deeper related to what we were talking about before, finding the complexity, going a little bit past the surface level of the binary.
Yes. Yes. And doing that for the sole purpose of remembering, again, who's your authentic self? Because the more we have woken people, like really woken people, that they're being their authentic self, that's also going to help you and somebody else be like, oh, she's being herself. I can be myself too. Because now instead of projecting what you're not, then you're projecting you, and that's going to remember that other person's, oh, I do have me too. Let me go back to me. And I feel like the same kind of chain, when something bad happens and then, hurt people and all that, then authentic people become, help others to be authentic as well.
I like that because we hear the phrase hurt people, but we don't hear the other side as much. Authentic people, bring on.
Yeah, or healed people also, like, heal other people. And it's not, again, from that binary that you have to completely heal to, you can be unhealed, because that's like another big term, and still help and heal others. But to go back, again, the importance of for you and for the people around you, because even if someone doesn't have children, then they go like, oh, and they don't want to have children, they're still impacting their whoever is near them.
What is gratitude, or what are you grateful for in your life right now?
It's funny because right now I was just going to say this is what came authentically, which I'm grateful for my babysitter that is here this week, because she was not here for the last 2 weeks. So I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for their help. I'm grateful for my teachers, and that includes my kiddos.
Yeah, I'm going to co-sign daycare. It makes such a difference.
Ooh, oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then I did distance learning this last year. I'm like, can we have a full month of just, either going somewhere and having so much childcare or something so we can kind of chill. Yeah.
Where can folks who are resonating, who want to learn more about the important work you're doing, where can they connect with you?
I'm the most active at my Instagram account, which is at Dr. Lydiana Garcia, and Dr. So Dr. with dot, Lydiana Garcia. And over there, I share a lot of information, reels and stuff. So that will be the best place to get a hold. And over there, I share my offerings and all that.
And we will definitely have that in the show notes for you all, so you can grab that. What is your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about? What's your invitation?
My first invitation would be to kind of like imagine that they're scanning their bodies from their head to their toes, and just kind of start becoming aware of their sensations, and become aware of their sensations when they get frustrated, when they get mad, when they're happy. The more that they kind of go back inwards to explore their bodies, and then go even further into, where do I come from? What do I want to do? Who am I? One of the things that could help with that is, if your childhood was not traumatic from early on, maybe seeing pictures when you were a year and a half, 2, usually around that time, take, the consideration if there was not significant trauma. Kids are just themselves. It's in those first 4 or 5 years that parents and society start to mold them. So seeing pictures of yourself, maybe asking, and you will have it. Like right now, now that I have a second one, she has her personality. My baby has a personality already. You take something out and she cannot say, give me that, but she would like push, or she would like, or stuff like that. So she sounds very determined, very sensitive. So all those things are kind of innate. And for parents, maybe writing those things down. So when your child forgets it or grows into teenager, adult, you can remind, this is what I saw you when you were little. This is the essence.
I love that. 2 amazing invitations. This has been such a gift. I'm so grateful every time I get to talk with you, and for you to share your wisdom with all of us. Thank you so much, Lydiana. We appreciate you.
Oh, welcome. I'm so happy to be back.
Yes. We'll have to have you back again for a full one.
Sounds good. Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Deeper Gratitude. I hope you appreciated getting to learn where my guests are going deeper, their invitation to you on where they'd like to see you go deeper. And I hope it had offered some insights into what people are doing emotionally to fuel this important work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this series. Please reach out to me at Tom Earl Artist, tom@tomearl.com, or if you'd like to go deeper in your marketing and your Facebook or Instagram ads, you can find a ton of free resources by going to tomearl.me/ads, tomearl.me/ads. Please reach out to my guests from this week. Let them know how much you appreciate them, support their work, It has truly been an honor having you share your greatest gifts with us, your time and energy. And I look forward to you joining us next week. As always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.